Hello, and in this video we're going to be comparing the French book and the English book, because recently I went on a trip to France and picked up the French book of One Piece, because why not? First off, I know these are different books, but I can compare some stuff to the internet version of this later in the video. Okay, in my opinion, the biggest difference is that this actually has a dust cover, this book. For example, see, if I take this off, it's got quite a good design of Yoshida Oda, and it's like all for talking stuff, and then on the back it's got the One Piece logo, but another difference is it's red hat instead of like a normal straw hat. This is the book without the dust cover. It's actually got a really nice finish to it, and it's like in a light green. I'm not sure if this is what it's like with all the One Piece books, but it definitely is with this one. This is what it looks like at the back, pretty much the same design all over, just with a nice finish of green, and also quite a shinier finish on the dust cover. While the English version is quite more big, and it doesn't actually have dust cover on it, if you see here. And at the back it actually tells you how to read the book. In the French version it doesn't. And also the author's notes are moved onto this page. Okay, I literally just noticed this now. If you look at the back, it's got Panda Man complaining to some weird fish people. If you don't know who Panda Man is, he's often in the manga, in the background. It's like a little Easter egg mostly. But I just find that really cool that he's there. And they do it like very similarly to the Japanese manga. I think I've already mentioned this to you before in the video, but one of the things I've noticed definitely is the size. For example, if we stack this on top of this volume, you can tell it's a bit smaller. For example, it's a bit at the top and stuff. So yeah, which I wouldn't say is a kind of a bad thing, but if you notice here, I'm just going to pop up an image compared to this. There's a bit of this missing here, like a bit of the art, which is a bit unfortunate, but I guess they want to do it at a small scale. I do like though, as for example on this volume there's the big 9 here, and that's a bit distracting from the whole rest of the cover art. Well, in fact it's just a small number here, for example 59. So I'm glad they went with the approach of actually not adding the big chunky number here. I think that's one good thing about French version of the Japanese manga. But one of the things I've realized that the French don't do with their manga is that they don't add this like cover art of Luffy at the back or something, and the blurb, they don't add a blurb or anything, so you don't really know what's going to happen in the story. But to be honest, it's not a big preference to me because I didn't read the blurbs before I read a One Piece book, so maybe some preference to some people, but definitely not me. Another personal preference I like is just this logo. It just gives me some nostalgia compared to, let's say, this. It's a bit bland for me. I definitely prefer the more nostalgic looking logo that they've added. To be honest, I wouldn't say much about the spines. Like, they're pretty book standard. It's just that this one always has a green here, so it's less colourful than the English version of the manga, like the single editions. It does have a different 59, I prefer the 59 with that, with a silhouette of the Jolly Roger. There's a cool East Blue thing. Does it do it here? Does it say what bit of the story it's from? No, it doesn't say the arc on this one. That's actually one bad thing I would say, because I like to know what arc it is, because it looks very organized and informed when you have your whole One Piece collection. But yeah, there's not too much difference. It always has the same art, it's just art in different places. To be honest, I don't really mind if it's in the middle or the bottom though. But yeah, I've also done a different design on the Shonen Jump brand with this weird pirate kid, and it's more the traditional Shonen logo on this version of the manga. And well, it says the rating and this media. I don't know why this one doesn't say this media on it, but who knows. It also doesn't say the age rating. It's tried to go for a more clean, formal look, in my opinion, on the back. I like the map style though, where you can see the map. Is there real places in One Piece? I have no idea, I'd have to look into that closer, but yeah. I would say that the French volumes are better value for money, in my opinion. So you're getting way better value for that, and you get a dust cover. The only thing is you get a bit less colorful art and that type of stuff. Okay, my general opinion on these books is that I do like it. This one comes with a dust cover. I obviously can't read French, but I do like how it all looks, and I have looked at the pages, and it is somewhat readable in like the small scale. It feels more like a Japanese volume of One Piece than it does an English version. One thing I realized though is that the English version is better translated. For example, if we go into, let's just say, if you see a spoiled panel, I'm just going to warn you now if you want to look away from the video. But you see that it says, for example, Doom here for like the sound effects. Yeah, like up here. Well, with the French version, it actually, wait a second, leaves the Japanese version in and then goes boom or whatever sound effect is. So it does do translation, but it leaves the old looking Japanese thing. So I think one other good thing about this volume is that it's actually properly translated, which I think is actually pretty cool. So obviously I couldn't say which one I would rather read because I can't read French obviously, but I do prefer the quality to the French volume in my opinion. But anyway, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and yeah.